educated. I love the poorly educated.
She could salvage, make up some lies, like she said about the border bill that Trump stopped. Let me tell you, number one, I didn't stop it. The senator stopped it. But that's the worst.
You're not trying to zing your colleagues, but it's your colleagues in your party, sir, who torpedoed this, who didn't get the facts right on what you just outlined was in that measure. They killed it. Ironically, not Democrats.
Right. It was, and it was painful to be able to watch it. It got stirred up in all the presidential politics, and several of my colleagues started looking for ways. After President Trump said, don't fix anything during the presidential election. It's the single biggest issue during the election. Don't resolve this. We'll resolve it next year. Quite a few of my colleagues backed up, looked for a reason to be able to shoot against it, and then walked away. I get that. That's a decision everybody makes in it. My issue is if we're pursuing everything, we very often end up with nothing. If we're pursuing someone coming later to fix it, later seems to never come. When we have a moment to fix things, we should fix as many things as we can then come back later and fix the rest.
That's on Donald Trump, Senator.
That, again, he's got an office that he's running for. He's got a campaign that he's running. I'm already in office. I've got a responsibility to be able to
She could salvage, make up some lies, like she said about the border bill that Trump stopped. Let me tell you, number one, I didn't stop it. The senator stopped it. But that's the worst bill.
Yeah. So what's wrong with Congress then, Congressman? I mean, why can't you actually move the needle on securing the border? I understand you need a willing partner on the other side, and you haven't had that. But it's frustrating to see all of these illegals coming in and the drugs flowing in, and really no movement.
The problem is the Republicans, not the Democrats. We know how the Democrats are going to vote. It's too many of my Republican colleagues are unwilling to vote to secure the border.
She could salvage, make up some lies, like she said about the border bill that Trump stopped. Let me tell you, number one, I didn't stop it. The senator stopped it. But that's the worst.
It's a very important issue for Donald Trump. And the fact that he would communicate to Republican senators and congresspeople that he doesn't want us to solve the border problem because he wants to blame Biden for it is really appalling.
She could salvage, make up some lies, like she said about the border bill that Trump stopped. Let me tell you, number one, I didn't stop it. The senator stopped it. But that's the worst.
I'm extremely disappointed in the very strange maneuvering by many on the right to torpedo a potential border reform bill. If we have a bill that, on net, significantly decreases illegal immigration, and we sabotage that, that is inconsistent with what we told our voters we would do. But it would be a pretty unacceptable dereliction of your duty.
She could salvage, make up some lies, like she said about the border bill that Trump stopped. Let me tell you, number one, I didn't stop it. The senator stopped it. But that's the worst.
I had a popular commentator 4 weeks ago that I talked to that told me flat out, if you try to move a bill that solves the border crisis during this presidential year, I will do whatever I can to destroy you.
She could salvage, make up some lies, like she said about the border bill that Trump stopped. Let me tell you, number one, I didn't stop it. The senator stopped it. But that's the worst.
But I would acknowledge President Trump failed, along with Republicans, Paul Ryan and the guys. They failed in 2018 to actually move a border security bill to tighten this so that we weren't dealing with this crisis right now. They failed to actually get the wall built. President Trump signed 12 continuing resolutions after he said he would never sign another one if they didn't give him the money to finish building the wall. Look, this stuff matters. It adds up. I call balls and strikes. This is not hard.
She could salvage, make up some lies, like she said about the border bill that Trump stopped. Let me tell you, number one, I didn't stop it. The senator stopped it. But that's the worst.
The Speaker says that if one migrant comes across the border, that's one migrant too many, and your bill doesn't do enough to completely shut down the border.
Actually, it does completely shut down the border.
She could salvage, make up some lies, like she said about the border bill that Trump stopped. Let me tell you, number one, I didn't stop it. The senator stopped it. But that's the worst.
So I've just come from visiting the border and the port of entry in Douglas. I spoke with dedicated agents from Border Patrol and Customs officers who every day see the overflow of commercial traffic through the port. These men and women who work there and at other places along our southern border help keep our nation secure. And they need more resources to do their jobs. which is why we have and are in the process of investing $500 million to modernize and expand the port of entry here in Douglas. And why last December I helped raise the rate of overtime pay for border agents, and also why I strongly supported the comprehensive border security bill. Written last year, as you know, by a bipartisan group of senators, including one of the most conservative members of the United States Congress. That bill would have hired 1,500 more border agents and officers. It would have paid for 100 inspection machines to detect fentanyl that is killing tens of thousands of Americans every year. It would have allowed us to more quickly and effectively remove those who come here illegally, and it would have increased the number of immigration judges and asylum officers. It was the strongest border security bill we have seen in decades. It was endorsed by the Border Patrol Union, and it should be in effect today, producing results in real time right now for our country. But Donald Trump tanked it. He picked up the phone and called some friends in Congress and said, stop the bill. Because, you see, he prefers to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And the American people deserve a president who cares more about border security than playing political games and their personal political future. And so even though Donald Trump tried to sabotage the border security bill, it is my pledge to you that as President of the United States, I will bring it back up and proudly sign it.
She could salvage, make up some lies, like she said about the border bill that Trump stopped. Let me tell you, number one, I didn't stop it. The senators stopped it. But that's the worst.
Educated. I love the poorly educated.